In the bustling coastal village of Mombasa, where the waves kissed the shore and the scent of salt water lingered in the air, Otieno was known as the most skilled fisherman in the region. On any given day, he could haul in more fish than most of the other fishermen combined. His boats were always full, and his nets never seemed to fail him. But despite his success, Otieno was not content. Fishing, as rewarding as it was a precarious livelihood. Some days the fish would be abundant, but on others, the sea would betray him, leaving him empty-handed. What troubled Otieno the most was the knowledge that this cycle of abundance followed by drought would never change. It wasn't enough for him. He longed for something more stable, something that didn't depend on the whims of the ocean. He yearned for fame that would endure beyond the seasons of the tides. Then there was Jabali, the potter. Jabali's pots were the envy of every villager. His work was renowned far and wide, and unlike Otieno's fishing, it seemed timeless. Pottery was a craft that could be passed down through generations, unbroken by the randomness of nature. One day, Otieno could no longer bear the sight of Jabali's fame. His pots were revered and his skill admired, while Otieno's fishing, though plentiful, was never considered prestigious. It felt like the world was calling Jabali to greatness while Otieno remained a mere fisherman. Why does he get all the glory? Otieno fumed to himself. Why not me? Why should he be the one praised for his craft, while I'm left to struggle with my nets? As if in answer to his frustration, a voice whispered to him in the silence of the night by the shores. It was not the voice of a person, but something darker, creeping through his thoughts like a shadow. Otieno, I can give you the gift you desire. I can give you the skill of pottery, perfect, unmatched pots that will bring you the fame you crave. But be warned, nothing comes without a price. Otieno's heart raced. Who speaks? He demanded. I am the spirit of ambition, the voice replied, smooth and tempting, like honey. I know what you seek. Come to me, and I will grant you the power to surpass Jabali, to create pots finer than his. But in exchange, you must give up something precious. Without hesitation, Otieno agreed, driven by the greed and envy that churned in his chest. I will give whatever it takes to have what Jabali has. The next moment, the voice was gone, and Otieno's mind swirled with new thoughts, thoughts of pottery, thoughts of skill. By morning, he felt an unfamiliar weight in his hands. The next day, he was at the wheel, molding clay, his fingers moving with an ease he had never known. Surprisingly for a newbie in the field, the pots he created were perfect, smooth, flawless, their designs exquisite. His name spread through the village like wildfire. Otieno is a master potter, the villagers marveled. His pots rival even Jabali's. The praise flowed endlessly, each compliment sharper than the last. Otieno's name was spoken with reverence, his fame growing like the tide. His pots were everywhere, in the homes of villagers and visitors alike, their smooth curves and intricate designs standing as proof of his newfound mastery. He was no longer just a fisherman, he was an artist, a creator, revered for his skill. Everywhere he went, eyes followed him, filled with admiration. The merchants clamored to buy his work, and the villagers sought him out for lessons. They would sit at his feet, eager to learn, while he demonstrated his craft with a newfound air of confidence. At the market, he was a star, the center of attention, his pots displayed like treasures, the finest of their kind. No one could compare to him. Jabali, the once untouchable potter, was no longer the sole master of clay. Otieno had claimed his place beside him. For a time, Otieno reveled in his newfound fame. He no longer had to worry about the unpredictability of fishing. His pots were sold for gold, his name praised in every corner of the village. He thought little of the promise the voice had made that something precious would be taken from him until the cracks began to show. Pottery, he realized, was not all it seemed. The process was slow, meticulous, and required endless patience. As a fisherman, Otieno was used to the thrill of the chase, to the rush of adventure that came with casting his nets into the sea. But pottery required long hours of sitting at the wheel, shaping the clay and waiting for the kiln to heat, only to watch some pots crack under the intense fire. There was no adventure in it, no excitement. The longer he worked with the clay, the more the monotony began to bore him. There was no thrill in shaping the same clay day after day, and the silence of the pottery studio felt suffocating compared to the open expanse of the sea. Pottery bred boredom, and Otieno longed for the freedom and excitement that came with fishing. He missed the waves, the salty breeze, and the feel of the sun on his back as he cast his nets into the water. The work was slow, but there was a rhythm to it. It wasn't easy, but it had its own rewards: the catch, the adventure, the unpredictability. Pottery felt like a prison in comparison. The constant sitting, the waiting for the pots to dry, the painstaking process of perfecting each one, it all felt like a burden. Years passed, but the more Otieno worked with the clay, the more his heart ached for the sea. He knew it wasn't the skill of pottery that would make him happy, it was the life he had left behind. But he had made a decision. He couldn't go back. Desperate for a return to his old ways, he sold the fortune he had made from pottery to buy a larger boat and more powerful fishing nets, believing that with the right tools, he could reclaim his success as a fisherman. But when he took his boat out again, it was different. His nets came up empty, over and over again. The fish he once caught so easily eluded him. The sea that had once been kind now rejected him. One evening, after yet another failed attempt, Otieno lay at the seashore, exhausted and disheartened. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, but Otieno felt only a cold emptiness inside. As he lay helplessly there, alone with his thoughts, the voice returned. This time it whispered to him, not from the darkness of the night, but from within his own mind. "Otieno," the voice murmured, seductive as ever. "You thought you could escape the truth. You sought fame and glory, but all you found was emptiness. You've forgotten what matters: the patience to endure through the seasons, the understanding that every craft has its challenges." Otieno's mind swirled, the words echoing in his heart. The voice continued, its tone almost soothing. "Pottery is no different from fishing. Both have their seasons, their good days and bad. You sought quick glory, but you've learned nothing. Patience, Otieno, patience is the key." Jabali, the master potter, knew this. It is not the skill that makes a man great, but his ability to endure the challenges of his craft. Otieno lay there, consumed by the weight of the voice's words. For the first time, Otieno understood. The work was not about the reward, it was about the journey, the patience to see it through. Fishing had not been easy, nor was pottery. Both required sacrifice, both had their times of scarcity, but only through persistence could one truly master them. Years later, Otieno died in obscurity, his heart crumbling and his boat abandoned. The villagers told his story as a cautionary tale, a reminder of how envy can corrode the soul and blind one to the value of their own gifts. Sometimes, they would say, it's not the storms of life that undo us, but the storms we create within. Lovely viewers, whatever it is you are doing, do it well and with all your power, for true fulfillment lies in embracing what you love. Chasing fame without passion is like chasing the wind, it leaves you empty, no matter how far you run.